It's been 7 years since the NFL's teams have decided not to pick up the fifth-year option on so few players. The record low was 2016. I think was it 16? It was 17. Yeah, you joined me in, I can't freaking remember. 17. It was 17. So a year before that, there were only 17 players picked up for their fifth-year option. This year, the record low of 12. And the reason is simple. The big reason is it's now fully guaranteed when exercised. That's the main reason. Before the 2020 CBA, it wasn't. So this new system is coming into fruition, and it's really taking root, and we're seeing what happens when teams don't want to make that commitment of fully guaranteed fifth-year salary. And you throw in the COVID year, there was an infringement on the ability to properly scout because, yes, there was the combine, but then the pro days all got wiped out. So maybe you're making some bad decisions and you bring in some guys you shouldn't have, and you find out the hard way, probably shouldn't have used a first-round pick on that guy. So you don't pick up the fifth-year option. He's still on the team for one more year. He becomes a free agent next year. You either re-sign him, franchise tag him if he ends up being great, or you let him walk away. But only 12 of those guys who were taken in round one are now committed into 2024.
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the list, the ones that were committed to 2024 as far as the fifth-year option, they were just no-brainers, right? It's like, the argument you make all the time about, the guys in the Hall of Fame, we don't even have to think about it. It's blah, blah, blah. And I feel like, for the most part, that list is there, right? I think maybe I wondered a little if Jerry Jeudy, just because he's had to deal with some things. I wasn't sure what they would do there, but overall, I think it's kind of a duh.
And Tua,
right?
Tua,
that was the
we
other
talked
one.
about Tua.
Yes, right. So those are two where I was like, I don't know how that's gonna, play out. And Judy, some of the comments made by Sean Payton, I wasn't sure. So, but other way, I think the rest of this group just hits you in the face, and you go, okay, no brainer. And then you look at, you mentioned, the 2020, the COVID issue, and then when you look at the list of the guys not exercised. You got some guys that have underwhelmed. The other thing you look at, too, is there's a lot of injuries with the guys that, had a decline. Chase Young, injury history. Mekhi Becton on the left there, injury. Javon Kinlaw, injury history. Austin Jackson, injury history. You go on the right column, Kenneth Murray, injury. Jordan Brooks, injury. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, injury. So, I know there's some swings and some misses in there, too, but there's also injuries that play into this, and then teams going, oh well, he got hurt, I don't know if we want to invest and guarantee that money, and we don't know exactly what he is, and that plays into it as well.
Yeah, and look, the one guy not on either list is Jordan Love, because he did that contract, which is kind of a hybrid. It's not really picking up the 5-year option, it's not really declining it, but it's that new category that we talked about earlier. So And we'll see if this trend continues, because in 21 there was no scouting combine. I don't think any of the pro day workouts happened. If they did, maybe they were just starting to come back on a limited basis. I just can't remember. It's a blur of the past couple of years. But maybe there were scouting issues in 2021 as well that impaired the ability to make the best possible decisions. And we'll see what the first round class does when we get to this next year. But it's an annual thing. And this is the year that so far, since they've hatched this fifth-round option back in 2011, this is the worst. One of the last ones to come in, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the final pick in round one that year. You and I both pegged the Chiefs as taking him. It was a clear need they had. He started off great. We talked about that yesterday. He had 100-plus rushing yards against the Texans. Week 1, Thursday night of the 2020 season, the night that Andy Reid wore the face shield that got all fogged up. But Edwards-Helaire not living up to the billing that would justify the fifth-year option. Still on the team, but also back on the team, Jerick McKinnon.
Right.
And they have Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, Edwards-Helaire is just not the guy they're going to build around for the future. My guess is he's there one more year, and if he comes back, it'll be on a fairly low contract, one-year type deal for 2024.
Yeah, I agreed. It's been good, but there's been the injuries. There's been a little bit of, yes, he's smaller. And then also, I think where a guy I misevaluated Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I always call this a little bit of the Peter Warrick syndrome. And I also worry about this with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who just got drafted at number 20 with the Seahawks, where tremendous quickness, tremendous ability to make people miss, right? And it works in college, but in the NFL, oh, wait, I made one guy miss. Now I'm running up and I'm about to make the second guy miss. But the fact that I'm not that fast, The first guy already caught up that I made miss, and he tackled me before I could even shake. The lack of speed is what I'm talking about has hurt Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Straight line speed. And I know a lot of people out there look at it and go, well, why not give him the fifth-year option? It's $5.5 million. It's chump change for, running back position. But as like Pete has put it in the sheets here, that's the 16th highest paid running back in football. Well, you don't give money out. You don't give 16th highest paid type of contract to a guy that's nowhere near a top 16 type running back. That's not good business. He's third running back on his own team. So where do you think he is in the rest of the league? We can't just go, well, $5.5 million is not that much, so we'll just throw it out there because it doesn't matter. No, you got to play the business aspect. The value is he's somewhere probably in the 40s as far as the league running backs or whatever, and they don't want to throw $5.5 million out to that kind of player. They can get another good player on the roster or two players, for that type of money. So, that's where – it's a tricky business, and it's not easy all the time for these teams or the player, of course.
Well, that's right. And look, you just find out one game at a time, 1 year at a time. Does this guy have what we thought he was going to have? Does he fit the way that we believed he would? And you got to make a business decision. And I don't even think it was that difficult.
No, I don't think it was either.
It lingered for a while.
Right.
I don't know whether they let it linger to be respectful to the player. Were they maybe trying to work out a deal with him where they would extend his contract for a year? Who knows? But I think that based upon the way he's performed, you just don't pick it up and you move on, and you've got that stable of guys with Pacheco and McKinnon back. It's amazing McKinnon was available as long as he was.
Yeah.
I know he's been around for a while. He's older, but man, he has pop in that offense, and no one else has really picked up on it. Remember, he was going to be such a great piece of the 49ers puzzle. He lost 2 seasons to a knee injury, ultimately only played 1 year in San Francisco, and he's gone into this 1 year at a time phase with the Chiefs, and he's back, and I think that he makes that offense just a little bit better.
Right.
Jets declining Mekhi Becton. Look, that's another one, and we talked about it yesterday. He was injured a lot. There was a lot of hope. There still is a lot of hope.
That's right.
But not enough to justify picking up that fifth-year option. He still could be a great player for them this year. He could put them in a tough spot where they have to make a big decision for 2024. But the easy decision for now is we're not going to make that commitment since it's fully guaranteed at the moment that it's exercised.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's smart, too. It's, we got to see more. He's got to be out there. He's got to play. We got to see what kind of player he can be if he can stay healthy for, a consistent period of time. So I think in the perfect world, Mekhi Becton has an awesome year. And, he does make life hard on the Jets. And then maybe the Jets can get him on a, 2-year deal for a good chunk of money, but nothing crazy, whatever. I mean, his talent is franchise left tackle. We know that. Or right tackle, whatever you want to say. I mean, when he's on the field, he is extremely noticeable, not only because of the size of the human being, but because his movement for the size he is and the power he has. I mean, it's all special. So hopefully he can stay healthy for Aaron Rodgers' sake, for the Jets fans' sake, and for his sake, so he can capitalize on it after the year.
And it would be great for the Jets if he can pull it together. It'd be great for him. It's not a death sentence for your NFL career if someone doesn't pick up your fifth-year option.
No.
It could be the thing that pushes you to the next level like it did with Daniel Jones. As we talked about earlier, the Giants may have thought that was exactly what he needs. For some of these guys, it may be exactly what they need. For Chase Young, it might be exactly what he needs, the impetus to rediscover the form that made him the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And look, the problem is, and this is why we always say get what you can while you can, because that injury that happens can derail everything. It can completely scrap your financial outlook and put you in a position where you never get the big contract as a veteran or as a second contract with the team that drafted you. It just doesn't happen. And for some of these guys, for all these guys where it wasn't picked up, that's all now hanging in the balance, Chris.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And then that's, hey, that's life in the NFL as we know. Right? It stinks. It's not easy, but for the most part, other than a few guys on every team, you're fighting for your life on a yearly basis, and you're fighting to perform at the highest level so you can capitalize on that next year or two and hopefully maybe I can get 2 or 3 years of security. Let me ball out this year so I can get some money and get 2 or 3 years of security so then I can do it all again, right? And that's the beauty of the business because it makes it extremely competitive and it's hard to tank or get guys to, put their foot off the gas pedal that way. But it's also the brutality of the business. And, I've been a benefactor of a little bit of both sides of that side for sure.
Benefactor, beneficiary, tomato,
regardless.
You
know what
I
mean.
Word stinks. You used the word stinks, and I'm glad you used it. I focused on it. I locked onto it because when we return, something to me stinks about, not something about me stinks, although who knows? We're always the last ones to know. But something stinks as it relates to the tampering situation between the Cardinals and the Eagles. Jonathan Gannon, the man at the center of it, addressed reporters yesterday. I got some thoughts. If you're an Eagles fan, stick around. If you're a Cardinals fan,
turn the
run
channel.
And hide. More PFT Live right after this.
He's stirring the pot.
There are no Cardinals fans, so it doesn't matter. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.